Hi, welcome to the session. This session is on Power Queries, in particular merging and appending tables of data. So the objectives is to explain what we mean by merge and append, explain when we might want to use this feature, demonstrate the merging of data sets, and demonstrate the appending of data sets. So first of all, we need to define what we mean by merge and append. To merge a data set in this case means to add one data set to another by adding additional fields. For example, if we have a data table that contains details of employee departments, we might want to add it to another data table that contains details of their salaries. In effect, we create a single table with more data fields in the form of additional columns. When merging, you need to have what is referred to as a joining data field. This is an identifier that is common to both data tables. In our case, it will be the employee number, which should be unique. In the case of append, we are taking one data table and adding additional rows of data to the bottom. For example, if we have a data table of employees from Germany and we wish to add those from Poland, then we can do this by appending one to the other. The important point to note here is that the field or column headers need to be common to both, otherwise additional columns will be added to the table. So why would we use this feature? Well, imagine you have an organization where there might be different personnel responsible for inputting or managing the data. In large complex organizations, it is common for multiple systems to be in use and for data to come from a range of different sources. Even when using the same systems, the data could be kept separate for a variety of reasons, either legacy or organizational. This feature allows you to consolidate the data, clean it up and organize it as you wish for further use. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just demonstrate this merging and appending, and what you can see in front of you now is a blank spreadsheet ready to go. So I've opened a new spreadsheet. I'm just going to quickly show you the other one before I close it. So here we have a number of tables, and what I've done is I've deliberately put some unhelpful information in the rows here, and also added additional columns, and we'll be interested in this data here. So this could all be in separate locations, it could all be managed separately. In this case, for ease and convenience, I've put all four sources into one document that I'm going to use to demonstrate the feature. So here we've got German employee department, salaries, Polish department and Polish salaries. Again, these could be separate, but for ease and convenience I've got them all in one place. As I go through, I'll demonstrate different aspects. I've deliberately put in, for example, an extra column which will give certain values, and it will add to the merge table when you see it, but we'll see that it'll all become clear as I go through it. So I'm going to close this out for now. So I've just got that original sheet. So here we have our start point, and what we're looking to do is we're going to import the data. Now, I demonstrated this in a data import session, which you can look up separately. So here we look at get data, we go to a file, and we go to a workbook. And then it's in this folder. Of course, you would have to navigate to wherever your data is to be able to do this, but this is just for demonstration. So here we have German and Polish data, so I'm just going to click on import. When I import, it's going to give me a number of options. So here you can see the different tabs which list the different things I'm interested in. Nothing on view yet because I haven't selected, so I'm going to just click on German employees department, and you can see here it's already starting to look a little bit messy. You've got all this null around. We'll tidy all this up when we come through, and then we've got the data down here. Now at the moment I just want to load to a connection, so you use this option under load and just go load to, and then it will give you an option here. It's looking at the spreadsheet just to work out what it's going to do. It could do a limited amount of cleaning up, but we'll see that in due course. So here we've got a number of options. We only want to create a connection. I don't want to bring any of the information in yet. I just want to say have a look at this. So I'm going to click on OK. And there you go, there's the connection to that separate spreadsheet. Now if I right click on this now to click edit, just to show you what we have in the Power Screen view, Power Query view. Just takes a little bit of time to do its loading. So here you can see, just I get it ready in the middle of the screen, this is your Power Query. So it's done a number of things. It'll do some steps here on the applied steps where it'll click on the source, so that's the table, and it'll also give you any other changes it's made. You can look into those and change them if you need to. What I'm going to demonstrate now at the moment is I'm just going to leave the header the same because I'm happy with that header. You can, if you want to, click on here and then reinsert a new name, but I want to get rid of all of these superfluous columns and rows. So the first thing I need to do is, if you go to this little box here, this little table icon, and do the drop down, you'll see here you can remove columns, and you can also remove rows. So the first thing I want to do here is get rid of the rows that I don't need. So let's have a look. Remove top rows. What it should do is give me another little box, and then it'll say how many rows do I want to remove. Well, it starts on row 5, so I want to remove 4. I click on OK. It will do that. And then what I need to do is I need to remove these columns. Now you can go into choose columns and then untick the columns. So you can just go untick here. Need that one there, and that gets rid of those. So the next thing to do once you get rid of the columns is to see here you've got the headers on the next row here. So I'd like to use the first row as headers. So again, if you go into this little table icon and you look down, it should have somewhere use first row as headers. There you go. Click on that, and there you go. So that's your data ready to go. And now here we've got all of the steps we've just done. So if you want to go back and undo them or change them, then you would go back to the relevant step here. But I'm happy with the way this data is now, so all I want to do now is come out of there and keep it. So you close it, close that, and it'll give you an option to keep the data, which I want to do, and then that is now ready to go. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to merge the German employee department data with another table which shows the salary data. Now one way of doing this, I could go back to get data, I could go to the file, I could go to the workbook, and I could go into the same routine as before, and instead of picking the tab that says Germany employees, I could go and pick another tab which says the salary data. So what I am going to do though is I'm going to not do that bit first. I'm actually going to copy this query. So you right click and you copy, and then if you paste it, and it's copying exactly the same thing, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to edit. So you'll see exactly the same thing as we left it. You'll see the table configured with all of these changes. Now if I go to source, I have a list of tables here now, so I can go into here, and I want this one here. So if I click on table here, it will then go, do you want to do that? And I'll go okay, continue, and then it's basically going to import that particular data. Now again, we've got the same situation. We want to get rid of the columns, we want to get rid of the rows. So again, I can go to choose columns, so get rid of them a different way around this time, and I can untick all of those. And then again, you could, if you want to, you could highlight the columns and then delete them, but I'm going to sorry, the rows, or I'm going to just go remove the top rows. So again, we want to take out 4. Okay. Now the reason I'm demonstrating this is because you might end up with tables and sheets where people have put extra columns or rows in, or comments. for their own uses, and you just want to clear that out, and you just want to get to the core information. So that's the kind of features that will allow you to do this one down here. So I just want to use the headers again as the first row. So there you have it. So what I've got now is I've now got a query, and I'm just going to change this one here to salaries, just so it's different. Put space in there. And okay, now if I come out and close that, and then keep. So now I have two that are the same. So the next stage would be to merge the queries. So if you right click on one of these two, you can then select this. Now you see the icon has two little tables here. If I click on merge, it'll then give me an option. And it has the department here. Now obviously you could change this around if you wanted to, but in this case I'm just going to leave it as selected, and then it's going to give you the second one here. It's going to go, okay, I want to link it to German salaries. And then as you can see, the staff number here and the staff number there both need to be selected. So you might go through your data, it could be another unique identifier, but this is what these tables are going to match when they merge. If there is a blank, it will come up with null and add a row. If there is more than one, so let's say you have previous addresses that might be listed under the same employee number, you will end up with two entries against that number. So you'll end up with multiple rows, more than you envisaged perhaps. So you might need to do a bit of cleaning up after that. So if I go OK now, it should merge this. Now you'll have a view here which will have the initial field here, and you can expand this out by just clicking on it. So you can click all or some, so you wouldn't want the staff number to be repeated twice, so you can click OK with that. And there you go, there's the matching figures across the top. If I go close now, close and keep. And there's the merge. Now what it'll also do is it'll load the data. And there you go. Now you might want to rename this. So let's call it full German. And there you go. Now the next step is to prepare the same for the Polish data. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly pause the video, do exactly the same steps for the Polish data to prepare, and then I'll restart it, and then we can carry on with the demonstration. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone in now, and you can see on the right hand side we've now got Polish employees, which is a connection, Polish employee salaries, so department salaries connection, and then a full Polish. Now I just want to show you a couple of things before I move on. There is a difference between some of the data tables. So if I just open up the Polish, you see here we have column F, it's called active, which is different from the German. The German doesn't have that column, so we'll see what effect that has later on. And then what I've done is during the merging of the Polish data, I've left this column here as a different title. So I've gone in and I've changed yearly salary, monthly salary, and this is just to demonstrate something that happens when you append columns after having merged them. So just bear in mind, when I merged these three columns read Polish employee salaries and then the header, and again the German version also had the same, which I've now taken out. So I've now taken out the prefix, if you like, that separates out those columns, and it'll become apparent when I combine these next two data sets. So the next stage here is to append, and what we mean by append is we want to add these rows of data onto the others, and it's important that the column headers are common to both sets of data, because that's how it's going to recognize and know where to put the information. So let's have a look at that. So if I go into Germany here and right click, I can do a append. You can see here is row and row. So if I just click on that, it'll then give me an option. And you can, if you have lots and lots of tables, which sometimes happens, you can do 3 or more tables, but we know there's only 2 here. So I want to combine full German, in this case with full Polish, and then click OK. And it will go ahead and go into the Power Query to show you the results. So what we have here is it's merged these, okay, because there is no separate header in the Polish. I took them out earlier on. We have an active column, and you can see for the Germany it's down as null. So if there is a column that exists in one data table and you append, then it will add another column. So you might have to clean that up later on if you don't want them. That could be anything, could be differences in how things are recorded regionally. It may be that more information is required. You have an option here, for example, we could just simply untick the column, go to choose columns and say, okay, we're not really interested in whether the employee is active or not. So if I go down to here and untick and click OK, it will remove that column. Now the same here, when I go into close this particular view, this column will appear separately, and we actually want it to be the same. But what I'm going to do is just demonstrate that. So if I go in here, give it a name, and I'm going to call it combined table. Call it whatever you wish to call it. I don't really want to do anything else with it now. Lots of things you can do. You can add currency into here if you want to, but I'm not going to bother with that just yet. So if I close this out, and it'll give you an option to keep. There you go. And then it will load the data into a new sheet. Here we go. If you don't amend the title, it will give another title down here, but if you actually name it, it will copy across down into the tab. So here we see the view. Now that active column is gone because I unticked it. That's fair enough. If it was there, it would just simply show as a blank or null, which you can either filter out if you wish to. Now here's the problem. We've got these separate columns. We didn't want them separately, but the reason it's separate is because we've merged. Excuse me. We've merged the Polish tables earlier on, and it's given it a prefix. So the way to resolve that, if you go back into the combined table, you can see here it's got twice as many rows because it's effectively putting an additional number of rows for every entry there that doesn't match across. So if I right click here, click edit, and wait till it opens up. Now you can do this with all of the columns you wish to make it convenient for you, but if I right click on this and then go to rename, it gives me the option to rename it. I'm just going to take out the whole prefix there, and then when I go close, okay, it doesn't like that. Yeah, wrong one. Okay, so if I come back out of there, I've gone into the wrong query. It's not the combined, it's actually the Polish salaries. So if I go into Polish salaries, always good to see when you make a mistake, because then you can learn from it. So you need to go into the source query in this case. In fact, actually it's not that one, it is full Polish. Okay, edit. Wait while it opens up. So here we've got the additional description here. So now if I can go in and rename it, what was shown before is you can't have 2 columns with the same name, which is fair enough. So if I now take that out and then click anywhere else, it then resorts that column. If I now click out, back out of there and then save it, keep. So it will reload the Polish data. And there you go, it takes that down. And then if I right click on this, just click on refresh, it will load that. And then you'll see this table change here. Okay, let's fix that. Edit. Sometimes you'll find the odd problem with these things. So if I go here and I click that out, and then if I take out active again, and if I close, let's see if this works. Keep. There we go, loading up. There you go, that worked. Okay, so what we saw there was sometimes when you do things in a different order, it upsets the rest of the table. So the reason it said it couldn't find those columns is because I'd inserted a step to remove the active, and it didn't like that. So what I did was I took that step out to wind it back. The data then reloaded into the original sheet, and then I removed the active column again. So it's just being aware that when you go in and change and you have columns which have merged tables and you have a prefix, you need to remove the prefix. So in this case, yearly salary, monthly salary, pension, which was marked as Polish or German. So you have the same column names. I suppose the ultimate thing there is have the same column or field names, and then it will be able to append one to the other. Okie doke. That's it. Thank you.